Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Friday episode of Fair Territory. I am Alanna Rizzo, filling in for Scott Braun, who is on a beach someplace in Mexico. Of course, you know Erik Kratz. I love seeing my guy Cam on the show. What's up, everybody? Cam, how you doing?
Oh, any day I see you, Alana, it turns into a much better day. Kratzy, his face is just okay, but your smile brightens the room, so I'm pumped to be on today. Let's go.
Wow, thanks very much. All right, Erik Kratz, always on Foul Territory. Appreciate you always for being here, my friend. Let's get into it. Let us charge the mound as we talk a little bit of Brewers and Giants next.
He's charging the mound.
All right, so yesterday, guys, the Giants beat the Brewers by 1. Pat Murphy, who was the National League Manager of the Year last year, apparently called a team meeting after that. This is a guy that's been around the game a long time. Adam McCalvey, who covers the Brewers on a daily basis, says the Brewers clubhouse doors stayed closed for 30 minutes after today's loss. The first 20 of which were a team meeting discussed what Pat Murphy called the most unusually poor defensive series he's seen in 10 years with the team. So, Kratzy, we're going to start with you. Pat Murphy's been around this game a long time. He obviously has been around the Brewers a long time. When Counsell goes over to the Cubs, Murph becomes the manager. As I mentioned, manager of the year last year. A closed-door meeting, bad defense. What do you make of it, Kratz?
He had the feeling that they needed a closed-door meeting. He doesn't need the award of manager of the year, which you mentioned twice. The players don't need to know that he got manager of the year. They understand that if this man says, hey, you know what, we're going to sit you down and we're all going to talk about this, something that needs to be addressed. And rarely do you see it as, okay, maybe they weren't giving effort. It was more the execution of the play and putting yourself in good positions. And he felt like it was something that needed to be said. So he said it, and I think he's built up enough cachet in that locker room to be heard.
Cam, you know that there are managers that can deal with mistakes when they're physical mistakes. Sometimes you just can't make the play for whatever the reason, but I think it's the mental mistakes, Cam, that will drive a manager crazy, or lack of effort, which maybe it wasn't the lack of effort, as Kratz alluded to, but maybe he's just thinking, you know what, if your head isn't in the game, we need to have a conversation. What do you take away from a closed-door meeting, a guy that doesn't do this often?
Yeah, for me, this is a situation where knowing Murph and being, having an opportunity to play for him in the Padres organization, this is something that didn't just happen that day, right? This is something that I think he's probably been watching over time. And hey, it might even have went back to spring training, right? Understanding, one, what the Brewers do as an organization. They're not going to go out and spend a bunch of money and put together a Dodgers type of payroll or a Phillies type of payroll, right? They predicate and focus their whole, organizational way on playing good defense, pitching, getting good bullpen innings at the end of games, the small ball, getting guys over. These are the things that have made the Brewers who they are, even before Craig Counsell left, and then as Pat Murphy took the helm over. So I think it's just one of those things he understands. If we want to be who we can and the best we can, we have to be a disciplined team, right? We have to pay attention to the little details. And Alana, Kratzy, you've seen younger teams or teams that have these kind of woes. I'm sure you'll see some early work going on today. I'm sure some guys will be out getting some extra balls, some extra ground balls, some extra fly balls, whatever it may be. And sometimes you need those little moments and those little attention to detail call outs from your manager. And Pat, one thing I always said about him, he does such a great job, not with X's and O's, but understanding people. And sometimes that goes so far. And I think that was a moment where he just, understands his guys. Hey, let's reel it in. And I know he didn't probably rip them. He probably very calm conversation knowing Pat, but just kind of called it to their attention. Say, hey, guys, if we want to be better, continue to be what we have been in the division, we have to clean it up and be more disciplined.
I think 1996 Pat probably would have ripped him. But
Facts.
2025 Pat was probably there giving some stern words. And I don't know that they're necessarily going to – like if you were to go see a workout pregame and – the ground balls and count how many ground balls or anything, I bet they're going to be the same amount. I bet they have a pretty good routine. To me, it's probably the focus, the intent. Hey, what are we actually working on here? One of the plays was Bryce Terang, who's got some hardware on his glove, made a play where he was trying to turn two, but it looked like it wasn't that great. It looked like it wasn't a great play because he kind of olayed it to the side, but he was already setting his feet to try to turn a tough double play. To me, the conversations were probably about, okay, what kind of decisions are we making? How did we build this team? We need to get outs. Not all the outs in one play, but just certain outs. And I think all that stuff is what you talk about in those meetings. And without being in that meeting, you never really know exactly what happened.
Cam, are these meetings effective? And moreover, are they more effective when it's a manager handling the closed door meeting or a player having the closed door meeting?
Well, before I answer that, this immediately makes me think about Miguel Cabrera. And Miguel Cabrera hated team meetings. I remember Mickey blatantly being open, and he's like, team meetings are for losers. Like, hey, we need to figure it out as players. But I also think there's an element of, the manager having, the ability, like a Pat Murphy, right? A guy who knows that he has the room, right? He has everybody's ear. He has everybody's trust. I think a guy like Pat Murphy probably also going, guys, in this division, we just need to do things right, the little things that we're supposed to do, like Kratz said, and we'll be fine. So I think it's just a call to attention. I think they can work depending on the group, and I think when you look at that type of group that they have, you lose Willy Adames, you lose your closer, you lose pieces here and there. I think still trying to figure out who's the captain, right? I know probably we would say it's Christian Yelich, but I think depending on the group, it most definitely can work, especially when you have a manager. As we talked about, Alanna, when you wake up and you're excited about going to the ballpark and playing for that guy, I think it most definitely can help in the right way. And that's just keeping guys accountable. Hey, guys, look in the mirror. At the end of the day, I can't go make the plays, but we're all better than we've shown in here, and we're still 12-12. So I think that's the message for Pat Murphy.
Yeah, of course, you talked about Willy Adames, who is now a member of the Giants, talking about Williams, who, of course, is with the New York Yankees. Let's talk about Brandon Woodruff in terms of some positive for the Brewers, guys. Kratzy, Brandon Woodruff pitched 5 scoreless innings, struck out 5 for AAA Nashville on Thursday. Now, he was just averaging 92 miles an hour on that fastball, but coming back from shoulder surgery, plenty effective in the outings, and this would be a massive boost to that starting rotation.
I think anybody's a massive boost just because they didn't start with much depth, and not that the guys that they have are not good. It's just they need that extra depth. You can't plug Brandon Woodruff in and have him pitch every 5 days. I don't see how that's going to happen. I don't see how that would be healthy for him, especially with this team having playoff aspirations. So the extra depth, not saying they're going to go to a 6-man rotation, but they have guys that are filling in right now, and they're going to wear out that bullpen if they continue to fill in with 4- and 5-inning guys. So Big Woo has to be 100% healthy when he comes back, and 100% doesn't mean that he's going to be throwing 97 to 99 like he used to. He may never get back to there. This wasn't elbow surgery. This was shoulder surgery. And to have him on the field and have him effectively throwing strikes and getting outs in AAA, just one step, and he's one step away from being back in the big leagues, where he'll have to really test himself to see how he needs to get outs against big league hitters.
Is there a better division, though, Cam, to kind of have to figure things out than the NL Central? I think both of the Centrals are always kind of knocking them, even though we probably shouldn't. But this is a very winnable decision. And when you catch something nip it right in the bud here on April 24th yesterday, I mean, this is something at where they sit. I mean, this is very fixable.
100%. And this is one thing I continue to say, and I'm glad you said it because I don't want anybody to feel like we're picking on the NL Central. But each and every year, when you look at the past few seasons, St. Louis, they haven't done much, right? They went out and said that, hey, we're going to see what these young guys have. We're going to let them figure it out. So with that said, hey, they're not really much of a problem when you look at the Central for me. Pittsburgh, they've shown you their hand. We know what they're going to do, right? They're going to continue to draft guys and try to – I don't even know what they're trying to do, right? Just compete, I guess, or just go out and make sure they can fill the roster for that game. But when you look at it, it's going to be the Cubs and the Brewers, right? Each and every year. So, to add to Kratzy's point, when you have a guy like Woodruff who, one, you go back to him making that press conference, and I remember how emotional he was, right? So, one, I'm just happy that he's back on the mound. I know we would all love to see him throwing upper to mid 90s. But he's a guy that even when he had the stuff, he knew how to pitch. So I think it's more about the growth of hey, trusting that shoulder again. But like you said, Alana, this division is wide open. So if they can get him back or anybody else to give them just any type of length to help out that bullpen, they have a chance.
Yeah, he's a pitcher, not a thrower. This is the rotation right now. Kratz, Freddie Peralta, of course, Tobias Myers, who we had on the show when Fowl was out there in Arizona. Nice to chat with him. Chad Patrick, Quinn Priester, and Jose Quintana. Right now, guys, the team ERA is a 4.23. Not horrendous, but 11th worst in the majors. Kratz, do they have enough currently? And obviously, we talked about Woodruff being a boost, but even with Woody back in the rotation, do they have enough?
No, but that's not what the Brewers are built on. They're built on those guys being enough. It's not enough. Like, you've seen what happened in the last few years. The Brewers have, they had Burnsy, they had Big Woo, they had Freddie P, all starting your first 3 games of your playoffs. That's a formidable starting rotation for your playoffs. And they got bounced, except for in 2018 when we had Jolice Chassin, Wade Miley, like Big Woo and Burnsy were in the bullpen. So you sit there and you go, what are we going to get out of these guys? This is something that the Brewers have done the best at. They have done the best at getting the most out of what they have. And that's why adding that depth of Big Woo is going to be huge, because it just gives them more quality depth until Nestor gets back. It gives them more quality depth to make sure a guy like Tobias Myers doesn't get tired, because unfortunately, he was a late bloomer coming into the big leagues. He's starting meaningful games for this Brewer team, and they need somebody to step up. Jose Quintana is going to be consistent, but one of the things Jose Quintana did was he killed the Brewers, and now he doesn't get to face the Brewers, so that's a knock on him. But all these guys are just there to compete, and that's why I like this team. They just can't afford to have guys all year round not go past the 5th or 6th inning.
Yeah, this is a team that isn't built on depth for sure.
Our guy's being nice. He's being nice. Those names you rolled out, other than Freddie Peralta, right now, 38-year-old Cam, I'm running to the bat rack. I'm telling you. That I don't care. Even listen, Nestor, that's my guy. Even when he comes back, I'm running to the bat rack. At the end of the day, Kratzy, you as a hitter, some guys, whether they beat you or not, you like your chances. So for me, if I'm an opposing team, I like my chances against everybody but Freddie Peralta. So that ain't going to get it done. I'm sorry.
I love the honesty. And just ask Freddie Freeman what he thinks about Nestor Cortez. Freddie Freeman's the one that made Nestor Cortez become a Milwaukee Brewer, and then the Yankees teed off on him the first game of the season. Let's switch our focus over to the National League West, not the Dodgers. Let's talk about the Giants. The Giants are now second in the division, you guys, with a 17-9 record. Kratz, I don't know that many folks coming into this season gave the Giants any sort of flowers, any sort of love, but they're getting it done. What have you seen from San Francisco so far? About 11-12% into the season.
Talking about play who you are, know who you are. Charlie Manuel's other quote was, know thyself. Like, this team knows thyself. The only person that doesn't know thyself is Jung-Hoo Lee. He is out of this world. There's going to be some regression there. To have the home runs that he's hit, he's never came close to this type of power rate in Korea when he was playing. So let's pump the brakes. I don't think he's going to be an MVP, but he's had an MVP April. But this team picks it. Look at what they have. Yes, they picked up Willy Adames, who's struggling at the plate. His defense last year was actually down. He was a negative outs above replacement guy. So you wonder, is that going to come back to bite him at some point? But he's playing good defense. You have Platinum at third with Matt Chapman. You have Jung-Hoo Lee in center field. You don't have your normal slugs. You have a shortstop playing second in Tyler Fitzgerald. You don't have your normal slugs all around the field that are going to try to pick the ball and then just go in and hit. These dudes are picking it, and they're keeping the games close, and they're able to win these one-run games. That's really what's propped up this awesome start, is they're winning the games that are close. But some people will say, oh, that's luck. To me, I say they built this team for pitching and defense. and they've come through huge for him this year.
And they're making big strides, obviously, against teams that they shouldn't necessarily beat. I mean, you just saw the tweet there. They have a tremendous record against teams above 500. They're playing well, both at home and on the road. You were talking about Matt Chapman and his defense, obviously. Sarah Lang's pointing out that he homered on a 100.4-mile-an-hour fastball. It's the fastest pitch a Giants player has homered off of under pitch tracking. Let me ask you this, though. When it comes to the closer role, Cam, obviously I know you were not a pitcher, but Doval has done a good job closing out games for them. In fact, he closed out each of the 3 Giant wins during this 4-game series. But Bob Melvin, their manager, said the club hasn't lost faith in Ryan Walker. Do you go with the hot hand in Doval until he tells you that he can't do it anymore? Or do you show Walker just for his own psyche and his own confidence and you put him back out there?
Well, for me, if I was in Bob Melvin's shoes, before Walker came along, Camilo Doval showed that he could get a lot of big outs at the end of games, right? You talk about that guy with that plus stuff, plus slider. And for me, his biggest thing was attacking the zone, right? Winning the race to 2 strikes. I think guys like that, when he has such elite stuff sometimes, and Alanna, you watch guys like Broussard Gratterall, when they have that elite stuff, sometimes they get too fine, right? They want to be too cute. So I think for me, when you look at Doval, when he's attacking the zone and getting ahead, then he can let his other stuff work. So for me, I think you have a good problem if you're Bob Melvin when you look at what the Giants have done and how they played. I think this is a great problem to have. And I think you have an opportunity to kind of work Walker back in, right? Figure out situations that you can put him in where he'll have success. And then if there's an opportunity where Doval is down, then he gets that opportunity to go back and close. But I want to touch on one part as far as the Giants go. And Alanna, you said it, a lot of people, we didn't think that they would be here. I think one person that we're not talking about, and I want to allow this segment to go by without saying, Buster Posey knows baseball, right? As analytics say, you shouldn't have this guy or that guy. To add to Kratzy's points, what they have done is they kind of somewhat took a model of when they were winning championships. Let's go get a lineup with guys that can stretch you out, that can have quality at-bats, that can put pressure on the opposing pitching staff and get into the bullpen throughout a series that actually taxes that bullpen, so we're in better shape going down the stretch. And then you have guys like Matt Chapman, who is being gold, platinum, but now his bat is catching up to the defense. So when you see that, and my favorite player, Kratzy, when you talk about him, please put some respect on his name. It's grandson of the win, okay? He is phenomenal. I think he can keep up this pace as far as the hit tool goes. He's showing an ability to make adjustments against lefties, righty, control the zone. And we just need to see him healthy. His biggest issue, I think, even in Korea and coming over here, was being on the field. So I think the Giants have a lot of good problems. And lastly, when you look at a staff, a pitching staff, Lana, and you've been in that division, you covered them for a while. When I look at the pitching staff of Verlander, Webb, Hicks is starting to look like a legit starter. You have some serious, formidable guys who, hey, if we get this game to the back end, 7th, 8th with the lead, we like our chances. So who would have thought we would be talking about a couple weeks from now, a week from now, that there would be a division battle for first place, and it's not the Dodgers?
Yeah, well, I don't like it. Justin Verlander's 78 years old. None of that, Cameron Maybin, but it's fun to have a good divisional race. There's 4 teams right now in the top 5 in terms of some offensive numbers that are pretty good. All 4 of those are in the NL West. All right, coming up, we're going to talk to Tyler Soderstrom here on Foul Territory. Looking forward to it. Talking to him next.
Alanna, we love our pups dearly, and we want to shout out Spot and Tango for taking care of our pups with their unkibble. They are a game changer.
A game changer is right, Scott. And you know anything about me, you know that I love dogs and I want them to live forever. My own rescue pup, Bentley, is my passion, and she loves Spot and Tango, thank goodness. It's 100% human-grade ingredients, so you know exactly what your dog is getting. Oftentimes in other forms of dog food, you have no idea what's in it. It's a bunch of fillers. She loves it. It helps keep her healthy. It's perfectly customized for her age, her breed, her weight, and her level of activity. Makes me happy to give it to her.
Hey, and you can upgrade your pet's bowl with Spot and Tango on Kibble. For a limited time, go to spotandtango.com/foul. Use code FOUL to get 50% off your first order. That is spotandtango.com/foul. Code FOUL to get 50% off your first order. One more time for the pups out there. Code FOUL at spotandtango.com/foul.
Let's talk about Kratz's Phillies for just a second. Matt Gelb tweeting this, guys. Phillies through 25 games in 2024. They had 108 runs, 27 home runs. This season, 3 more runs, but 6 fewer long balls. Kratz, we know you love this club. I love the Phils as well. What do you make of the numbers?
I think it's showing that they're pretty much right around where they were last year. I mean, 6 homers is what it is. They're scoring the same amount of runs. Last year, they were just up by a ton in the division because they weren't giving up any runs. The starting staff has been above average. I mean, you have Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola's kind of started out slow here, actually really started out slow, but Taijuan Walker's had a few good starts. There's a lot of positive in this starting rotation. The bullpen has been putrid, and they have been giving up tons of runs, and that is the stark difference of why this team isn't 7-8 games above 500 at this point, and they're, I think, 1 game. I think they're 13-12. So it's something that they need to continue to swing. For me, it's cutting down on the strikeouts from the lineup that they've had so far this year, which is huge, and I think will pay dividends once they make the playoffs.
Cam, how much do you think the Phillies bullpen is missing the services of Jeff Hoffman? He was an all-star. Now he's with Toronto, and to Kratz's point, the bullpen's struggling.
100%. They lost Jeff Hoffman. Soto, the lefty. I know he's was very erratic at times, but again, another big arm that they relied on. Yeah, they're missing some back end pieces, and I'm sure Dave Dombrowski would do his best to pay attention and go get what he needs in that bullpen.
All right, guys, let's talk about the Athletics for just a second. This is a team that I have to say, despite all of the stuff that this club has to go through, I never hear the players themselves complain about anything. It just seems like a strong group of guys that is willing to do what they can with what they have. And nobody knows that better than Tyler Soderstrom. Welcome, my friend, to the program. We appreciate you being here on Foul Territory. Thanks for coming on. And Tyler, I was just talking to these guys about the fact that regardless of the situations that the Athletics are in front of, you guys are a very tight-knit group, it seems like anyway, and you don't complain. Why is that?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, first and foremost. But I think Kotz kind of sent a message last year at the end of the season that no one's going to really feel bad for us. They're still going to come into Sacramento and try and beat us. So we just kind of went in with the mentality that nobody cares. The situation may not be the best, but we're going to make the best of it and make it our home. So it's been good so far.
Ty, you were in AAA last year for part of the season. Now you're in a AAA stadium. Come on, there's not even any good AAA big league jokes that you guys have heard that you're like, I kind of feel like that one's a good one.
We definitely joke around internally and stuff, but they did a pretty good job. Everything's brand new. I mean, I'm sure the visiting teams have it worse than us for sure. But we've made the most of it. We're enjoying Sac so far. So I mean, it's definitely good as a hitter. The ball's flying. So we're enjoying it.
Hey, Tyler, I want to talk a little bit about some things that I dove into. Essentially, your third time around now, a very short sample size. And a lot of people coming into the season, nobody was talking about you, right? But here you come on the scene. I mean, not looking back. And when I dove into the mechanics of it, a couple things that I'm noticing, a lot more balls elevated. You're barreling up a lot of balls at a much higher percentage. The bat speed is essentially the same, and I'm not saying it's because Alanna's on here today, but when I really dive even deeper, you have some Ohtani-esque things in your swing. Is he somebody that you looked at? What were some of the things that you went into the offseason saying, if I can lock in here, I can turn this power and my tools into something special at the big league level?
Yeah, I mean, in the minor leagues, I didn't really struggle. I kind of flew through the minors, power, hit for average, drove guys in, and then I got to the big leagues and really, didn't work out for me in the beginning. I mean, I was still pretty young, but they were just kind of pitching to the corners, throwing soft, and I just really wasn't able to adjust, and I was missing the pitches in the zone because I was so kind of tied up. But I think I just needed something that was pretty repeatable, pretty easy. I've mentioned JJ Bleday. He kind of went through the same thing as me, kind of struggled, came up, and kind of put the foot down early, and it kind of really helped him take off. So kind of mentored after him a little bit. Started playing around with it kind of halfway through the season last year, and really kind of opened up the zone for me. I felt like I could see everything, be on time for everything, and kind of adjust. So yeah, it's been good so far.
Tonight's starter, Sean Burke, you've had a dinger against him in the show. Does that make your do you feel a difference in your confidence when you're facing a dude that you've already hit a dinger against, that you're like, okay, and can you take that confidence into a dude like the entire Mariners pitch starting rotation where you're like, okay, like I got to get after some of these guys? Or does that, like, does past success not affect your psyche going into a game?
It definitely helps. I mean, I feel like just overall, like seeing guys the first time can be difficult, but once you kind of see guys more and more, you get more comfortable in the box, and even, I mean, just having success against them even adds to that. So, yeah, I mean, we just saw these White Sox guys. We're gonna face the same three starters that we did in Chicago, coming off a sweep there. So we're excited to just kind of build off that and keep going.
Hey, I want to follow up right there. You talk about cots, and one thing I stand on, I always say, the leader is the manager. We always look at players as the guys who lead the clubhouse, but you have to have a guy that you wake up and you're excited to go play for him. How big has Cots been? He was a veteran when I was younger in my career. I know what he did for me. Even though he's the manager, he's not the hitting guy. He has so much knowledge. How big has he been for your growth this year? And what are the athletics and Cots telling you your role is going to be moving forward?
Yeah, Kotz has been a big part of our success. He came into a pretty tough situation when he first kind of started managing. So he's done a great job of, dealing with that and getting to us to this point. I mean, we're a young group of guys that, kind of need that guidance. We didn't really know how to be big leaguers. So he's really helped me in that aspect of kind of learning to be a big leaguer and how to go about my business. And, like you said, they've kind of communicated to me that I'm probably going to be playing more in left. Kirsch just debuted, so looking to get him in the lineup to get another lefty bat in there and kind of help us against righties for sure.
All right, I got to ask this. Do you miss catching? Because they're moving you out of the position. I kind of transitioned to it. You caught 30 to 40 games a year in the minor leagues. Normally we have two catchers on here, but we allow an outfielder on here and Cam because we'll bring the athleticism down a little bit when we bring outfielders. Is Shea going to let you catch it all? Like, let the man get back there. All these dingers at catcher, whoo, that's a little extra cash.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm open to anything, man. Like, I want to be in the field. I mean, I feel like I'm too young to, just DH right now. I want to use my athleticism to play defense wherever that's in left or catching or first or another corner spot, and I feel like he can handle all of it. So, but yeah, like you said, I mean, we got Shea, so I mean, he's a horse back there. He's back there every night, and he's got power too. So we're just trying to figure out where we can get all these bats and where we can fit them all in the lineup for sure.
You seem very disciplined in all of your answers there. I don't know if you had media training or if you just feel like you're too young. What makes you smile? What makes you relax?
I don't know. I'm just a pretty laid back guy. A little early in the morning, just drinking my coffee here, so I'm just waking up.
Did you grow up? I know that your dad played, speaking of coffee, a cup of coffee in the big leagues, but did you grow up in a baseball family? I mean, were you always surrounded by it? And was there ever a part of you that you didn't want to play this game, or was it just ingrained in you that you were doing it?
No, it was just ingrained in me. Ever since I figured out my dad played, that's all I wanted to do growing up. So, he played, got two cups of coffee in '96 and '98 with the Giants, and he was a first rounder out of Fresno State. So, he's been through it all. He's taught me what I know, and just growing up with my brother, just training with him, and yeah, he's been a big part of my success for sure.
How did your dad talk about his career? Because AJ and I and Cam, we had careers that lasted longer than your dad's. Mine could have never
Mm.
been a big league career. Cam and AJ, they were definitely going to be big leaguers. Like they were first rounders. How did he talk about his career?
Yeah, he felt like he maybe left a little bit on the table, but he had a shoulder aneurysm right when he got into pro ball that kind of hindered his success rate. He just couldn't really stay healthy. So, he just always taught me to, put in the extra work and just never leave anything on the table because, this game can end quickly. So, I think he's kind of instilled that in me for sure.
Let's talk teammates real quick. Now you guys have a pretty young roster, right? Other than the old head Luis Severino over there, my ex
Yeah.
teammate. What I've never been in a clubhouse that young, right? Usually it's cards on the plane, it's something competitive. But when you have a group that young, I know it's some competitive stuff going on. One, who's the most competitive guy in the clubhouse? And two, what do you guys do? I mean, to kill time when you talk about having such a young group. Like the fans need to know.
Yeah, it's definitely a good, really good mix of really young guys and some older, veteran guys. We actually call ourselves YC, which is young crew, and then we refer to the older guys as OC. So TJ McFarland is kind of the head of that, and then we got Lawrence Butler, who's chirping a lot. So it's a good friendly banter back and forth. It's a good mix. I mean, we play cards, a lot of cards. I mean, yeah, I mean, we got two card tables on the plane. So yeah, we make the most of it. We have fun for sure.
All right, I guess Law Dog is swaggy, right? He's the head
Yes.
swag. Is there a
Yes.
second place? Is there somebody that's like trying to catch him?
That's a tough one. I mean, he's just so out there with everything. I mean, he has two lockers. I mean, he has about 6 or 7 different belts hanging in his second locker. So, I mean, he's definitely the leader in that department for sure. Sevy's got a shoe game going for sure. A lot of Jordans in there. So I'd say Sevy's close second with the shoes, but I think Law overall, takes number one easy.
And I guess since Law just got his contract, so he can
Yes.
spend it and flaunt it a little bit more too.
Oh yeah,
What
for
about
sure.
what we talk about money and maybe there's no gambling in baseball. I'm not saying you guys were gambling, but did you guys have a pool of when Jacob Wilson was actually going to get to a 3-ball count, let alone a walk? Because I saw the reaction in the dugout and everyone was like, "Yeah!" So you guys were clearly paying attention.
Yes, we were paying attention for sure. No money pool put together for that, but we're giving him crap every day for sure. But he's a great hitter, man. We're constantly amazed if we're just sitting back, watching him in the dugout, just watch him bang balls to the right side and up the middle. So it's pretty special to watch. But yeah, we were on him pretty good for sure.
No doubt. No doubt. What about his the fact that he doesn't have as much power as you? Do you give him a hard time? Like, are you guys like, does he even hit on the field? Because he watches Rook, he watches you, he watches Law, now Kurtz is up. Like, do you give
Yeah.
do you guys give him a hard time and go, hey, the singles guys, they go hit in the cage for BP?
Yeah, I think he's kind of done a good job of embracing that. We definitely do give him a little slack for that. In BP when he gets one out down the left field line, everyone's putting their hands up cheering, so he gets it a little bit. But he embraces it. I mean, you watch his BP, he doesn't hit a ball on the left side of second base till about the third round. So, but he's got some power in there. He'll sneak a couple out down the left field line here, and hopefully he can end with about 5 or 10. I think is his number.
Okay, that's fair. A couple power swings, 5 to 10 power swings. Maybe he just
Yeah,
needs a torpedo bat or something like that.
yeah,
Something
maybe.
that'll some kind of gimmick. Anyway, he's hitting
Yeah,
he's hitting a million, so don't change it. Tell him not to change a thing. Every once in a
yeah,
while, actually all the time, there's a home run hit at Sacramento at Sutter
yeah.
Field. When it goes to left center, I see a batting cage out there. Do you guys have an outdoor batting cage at a big league stadium? And is that going to be problematic when it's 110 in Sacramento?
So we have two tunnels that are indoor. They're actually pretty nice. I'm not sure what the visiting tunnel is. I'm pretty sure it's indoors. I haven't done a whole lot of exploring over there. But when it gets hot, I'm sure there'll be some problems that arise, but I haven't really been over there to check anything out. But our 2 tunnels have actually been pretty nice. So
Oh,
You're,
nice. Well, I'm
you're
glad that you guys have indoor tunnels. Last one from
yeah.
me, and we'll let you go. I saw a big goose egg on the baseball reference page on stolen bases. I need you to get a bat. I need you to get a bag soon, please. Like, I
I've got
need it.
two attempts this year, both with Shea hitting, so he's fouled it off twice. So
Okay.
I'm going for 10. I'm going for 10
Don't
bags
treat it
this
like
year.
a hit and run. I
10
need you
this
to get a
year.
little bit.
I like
I'm
I need
going
you
that.
to
for
get a little
10.
bit bigger lead. Hey, I'm with
Nope.
Kratzy. You got a
Yeah,
whole half
I'm
a
gonna
step.
get 10 bags this year. Don't worry.
You got a
Okay.
half a step, and just remember, they're not thinking about you over there. So get the
Yeah,
sneak attack going early, right? Maybe even a little pull, shuffle.
yeah.
Get you a little early jump. Don't treat it like a hit and
All
run,
right,
and you'll get you some
all
bags.
right. Sounds
Take
good.
the pitch, Shay. Take the pitch one time. Let a man
Take the
eat.
pitch.
I love
Yes,
that you
sir.
put it out here, though, on Foul Territory. 10 bags
Yeah,
this year for Tyler in the
really. That's my
2025
goal. That's one
season.
of my goals for sure.
Well, great job so far. Great success to you, Tyler, the rest of the way. It's been fun watching you play so far. Thanks for taking a couple minutes to be with us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right, you as well, Tyler Soderstrom of the Athletics. We appreciate you. Talking spread and rumors next as Foul Territory rolls on.
Kratz, do you like spending an hour on grocery shopping?
Nope. Speed up the process, please.
Introducing Hungry Root to the FT fam.
Now we can all be bougie with our own personal shopper to handle the food shopping, including recs based on what you're looking to put in your body.
I stack my Hungry Root box with items like gluten-free, dairy-free blueberry waffles for breakfast, shrimp veggie bowls for lunch, and a little filet mignon with potatoes and broccolini for dinner.
You can also say just, hey, Hungry Root, I eat paleo, or I'm vegetarian, and they load up your cart with personalized recommendations.
And those recs keep evolving as they learn about what you're into. Also, no BS, as in no artificial sweeteners or preservatives in any of Hungry Root's food. You're going to love Hungry Root as much as FT does. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/FT and use code FT. That's hungryroot.com/FT, code FT to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life.
Big deal or no big deal, guys? Rob Bradford, this on X, according to baseball savant Rafael Devers of the Red Sox, has swung and missed at 44 pitches in what is considered the heart of the zone. The next most in all of baseball is the Twins' Matt Wallner, who has done it 25 times. Should we be concerned, Cameron Maybin?
For me, we should. And I'm going to tell you guys something that the normal baseball player, right, the average baseball player like myself goes through. And I'm sure Kratzy can attest to this. There were times in my career, Alanna, where you play, you go through the offseason, you go through spring training, you do everything. You do what you've been doing since you're a little kid. And then one day you wake up, and all of a sudden you look down, and it's like a scene out of Space Jam. You feel like the Monstars stole your powers. And that's what Rafael Devers is going through. You look down and you go, I forgot how to play baseball. What is going on? But what happens is you usually see it in guys like myself, right? Guys like Kratzy. You don't see it in guys like Rafael Devers, the guys that we have considered early on in their careers as one of the elite hitters of our game, right? The elite young guy that came out of the minor leagues, never broke stride and tore up the league. He's going through something that I don't think he's ever dealt with. So it's going to be important for people around him to really be picking him up. And this is where character is so important, right? Having guys that aren't just there worrying about their own personal stats. You got to have somebody rubbing this guy on the back. Even the superstars need a pick-me-up sometimes. So what he's going through is what us normal guys like Kratzy have been through. But I do think it's an issue. He has to figure it out, but he has to keep his emotions and stay invested in the moment.
All All right, guys, welcome back here. And we're spreading some rumors. And by rumors, it always seems like Nolan Arenado is in the midst of them. This poor guy, whether is he going to be traded? Is he going to stay? Is he not going to stay? But let's talk about this. Has Nolan Arenado played himself back onto the trading block? Why early returns may be good for the Cardinals. So obviously, the Cardinals and Nolan Arenado it's not been the most amazing relationship. But you know what? If they continue to play well, perhaps he will be part of their future for a while. So roughly 1 month into the season, Kratz, Arenado is still a Cardinal. However, the possibility that he'll eventually be traded out of the Lou remains. MLB.com conducted a question and answer with Arenado that included the following relevant exchange. So MLB.com says, you are the veteran of this club. Do you think you will be with the Cardinals to guide these guys? And Arenado, I don't know. We'll see. We are playing hard right now. I think we are doing a good job. We still have to win a little bit more, compete a little bit better. Hopefully we can get on a winning streak here. If not, I would assume they would want to let these young guys run and go. I know that they don't feel that I'm in the way of that, but at the same time, sooner or later, you have to make a decision. I don't mean this in a bad way, but I'm not part of their future plans. I'm older. That's just part of it. When I say future plans, I'm talking about the next 5 years plus. I understand that. Hopefully we are winning so we can add at the deadline. If not, I'm assuming some questions will arise. So, Kratz, let me ask you about this because, I mean, Father Time catches up to the best of us, all of us, and Nolan Arenado is an intelligent man, and he understands that, you know, he's probably at the end of his career. Do you see this man as a part of the Cardinals, let's just say at the deadline?
No. He's gone beforehand. There's too many teams that struggle at third base. And he's too good of a player. He was too good of a player before he started. I think his OPS plus is 126 this season. He's too good of a, like, let's just say analytically, people say, oh, he's down. He's not the third in MVP voting like he was in 2022. Like, that's not that long ago. Like, that's not that many seasons ago. He's an all-star in 23. He had a down year. But let's say you think he is his down season last year. He's just a completely average OPS plus of 102 hitter. He is still giving you Gold Glove defense. There's very few teams that will not take him by the trade deadline because not many teams have elite defense and the upside of a lot of success at the plate when you have a hitter like Nolan Arenado. To me, I think he gets traded. You look at a team like the Phillies, if Alec Bohm continues to struggle, they want to add. The Cardinals seem like they're going to be eating a lot of that contract. And I think the Cardinals are motivated to move him to get other guys time. And Nolan's motivated to move. He wants to go somewhere else. And I think if you add him into a lineup, I just say the Phillies because that's a possibility. But you add him into a lineup with really good hitters, he becomes a better hitter because the pressure isn't all on him. They don't just slot him right into the 3 spot. He might hit 5th or 6th in that lineup, depending on who they're facing that day.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be the guy
Absolutely
in other
right.
places. Cam, the team said that they want to run and go with the younger players. If Nolan Arenado is there at third base, Nolan Gorman doesn't get the chance to be able to play every single day. Right now, he's getting some spot starts at second base, but he's not full-time at third. Do you foresee a situation where Arenado is with this club past the deadline?
Yankees, Phillies, Orioles. Those are the 3 teams I think will be great places for Nolan, especially you talk about a guy later in his career. And he laid it out. He pretty much laid out for you what he believes he still has. I still believe I have 5 years left, right? I think that's why he threw that number out. I think he still believes in the right situation, like Kratz said, watching his boy Goldie go to New York, right? Seems reinvigorated. Seems like he's got a little bit more juice than he had trying to be the older guys that try to lead the way and set the tone and set the example. Sometimes for older guys, that becomes exhausting as well. So I'm with Kratzy. I think there is a situation, a very, very much a situation where I think even him sitting back watching some of these veteran guys having success in places with other veteran pieces around them where it isn't all on him, I think this is a situation where they will and they should be willing to move Nolan Arenado. And again, for me, the ideal situation, if you look at what the Cardinals have been trying to do, I think Baltimore is the right place to call. I think Baltimore also needs to come off of some of those prospects and realize that, hey, we got all these prospects and all these pieces, but you still need veteran guys to win baseball games. And I think they're seeing that right now, that prospects don't always equate to wins at the big league level.
It'll be interesting to see where the Baltimore Orioles are, because they are desperately in need of some starting pitching too. They may not even be in the postseason conversation come trade deadline. All right, much more to come on Foul Territory as we roll on. Evan Grant, who does a great job covering the Rangers, joins us next.
Todd, Father, I want to pull a very expensive card out of a pack. Very difficult to do and very expensive. I can't pay for it, okay? How could I acquire that card?
Simple. Instead of driving somewhere, you go on Arena Club, go get you a slab pack, and you'll have some of the best cards you're ever going to see. Some one-of-ones, some cards that you want to have and you can't get out of your home. Go right online, check out Arena Club.
Yeah, I cannot recommend it enough. And every time you rip a slab pack, Arena Club will make you an instant offer for your card based on its market value. That's right. No guessing, no waiting. Instant offer for the estimated fair market value. You can accept it on the spot. You can use that cash for another slab pack, or you can buy, sell, trade. This platform has it all for the collectors out there. And right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/foul, code FOUL for 20% off your first purchase.
What do we think about this, gentlemen? Grant McCauley on X, another scoreless inning tonight with AAA Gwinnett for the Braves, and Craig Kimbrell, who has now appeared in back-to-back games for the first time. Overall, the veteran closer, he's been effective. 5 and a third innings, 0 hits, 0 runs, just 1 free pass. He has 7 Ks. Do we see Craig Kimbrell coming up soon, Kratz?
He'll be up soon. I think he probably has some type of out, and numbers like that will get him a job. He'll put up numbers like that in stretches in the big leagues. Can he be your closer? No. I don't think the Braves are even going to look to put him in a closer. Can he close games? Yes. Minor leagues, guys swing it a little more, so those walks, how much of those outs are in the zone? That's what I would look at, but he's going to be up soon.
Cam, does he close games? But I think the postseason is where you question it.
Well, I think the biggest thing, Lana, is trying to find somebody to help them get to the postseason, right? I think that's a big part of it as well. You're right. I think with the Braves, you have to crawl before you walk. So I think they're looking for somebody that can give them some length in the back of that bullpen, or maybe even in the middle innings of that bullpen, like Kratz said. The stuff still plays, right? Is it elite like it once was? No, but the stuff is still there. I think Craig is still trying to figure out how to pitch with the stuff being down somewhat now. He used to get away with a lot of just attacking guys in the zone, dominating with the stuff. But I think he's figuring out a way to pitch, and I think he's definitely going to be serviceable. And the Braves can use him right now or very soon.
We are back with our friend Evan Grant, who does a tremendous job covering the Texas Rangers for the Dallas Morning News. Evan is there all of the time, knows everything about this club. Great to be with you, my friend. Thank you for joining us on Foul Territory. First of all, before we get into it, you are a barbecue aficionado. This is what I've learned about you. Is there a spot that is like an absolute must go to? Tell me all the things, Evan.
Well, look, it's Texas. You kind of have to eat barbecue or they kick you out of the state. So I've learned to love it. I don't know that I'm an aficionado. I just like food because you don't get this body without liking food. So in Dallas, look, we've got a pretty good bubbling barbecue spot scene. I can't say enough about Torrey Hunter's place, Tender. He's got several locations. We saw Torrey just last week when the Angels were in town, and I was raving to him about the stuff there. It's really, really good. But there is a place in Arlington that's the official barbecue spot of the Rangers, Hurtado Barbecue. They're actually in Globe Life Field. I think even Persnickety, AJ Pierzynski enjoyed their food. This year at the ballpark, they're doing wings. They're doing their burrito tacos and quesadillas, and they are doing a giant stuffed baked potato. So if you hit those two, you're going 2 for 2. The one other I'll mention is Heim Barbecue in Dallas and in Fort Worth. They've got this bacon burnt end thing that is it's insane.
There's no, like, AJ's not on here, so nobody's going to be asking you for free food. Every time you come on, AJ's like, Evan, why are you going to get me this? When are you going to buy me that? So nobody's asking for anything today.
Does that make me special, though, Erik? I mean, because he asks everybody for free food and free stuff, right?
Everybody. He's always asking. Susan Slusser was just on the other day. When are you going to get me the garlic nacho truffle fries, whatever? Like, he's always looking for a handout. So he's not that bougie. He's just looking for free. Free 99 is his price.
Doesn't make me special.
Okay, but you are special. Tell me what's special about the Rangers. They're 14-11 right now, but they're tied for first place. Did they feel like, or does it look like they're playing good enough baseball right now to be ahead of everybody else in this division? And do they look up and say, whoa, the Mariners and that pitching staff and their brutal lineup are keeping up with us? We need to change something. Or does it feel like, okay, both teams are playing well?
Well, I think you saw in this past week some of the Rangers' perspective in that their lineup hasn't been hitting on all cylinders, and they think this lineup is going to slug and is going to score a lot of runs. But for the first month, a lot of the same problems that existed last year have existed. So Bruce Bochy shook things up when they went to Sacramento, took Marcus Semien out of the leadoff spot and put him in more of a run-producing spot, put Josh Smith in the leadoff spot, and moved Wyatt Langford up to the number 2 spot. And what the Rangers tried to do, and it lasted all of about 7 innings before Corey Seager pulled up with a bad hamstring, was get their top on-base guys into the top spots in the order so that the guys who are sluggers and maybe not indiscriminate swingers could get more pitches to hit. And it did pay off against Sacramento. Whether or not that had anything to do with the ballpark and how the ball carries there, I don't know. But they scored a season-high 8 runs the first night. Corey pulled up with a hamstring injury, and so now they're back to kind of scrambling for runs again.
Hey, I want to stay there. We talk about scrambling for runs. In the midst of that, I think they're still in a good place, right? Struggling for runs, but you're still at the top of your division. Have we talked about how good Wyatt Langford has been going back to the end of last year, right? Like, this has been one of my guys going back to last year. I thought he'd be the rookie of the year. And he went through his early season woes, but towards the end, he started to figure out, right? The wood, the whole big league adjustment. Are we talking about how good this guy has been and how good he possibly could be?
Well, 2 things, Cam. I think to your point, I think from the Rangers' perspective, what's very encouraging is that they are 14-11 and they haven't hit, right? They haven't scored a ton of runs and they've still found ways to win. And that in large part is testament to the starting pitching they've gotten, which has been better than expected, and the restructured bullpen that Chris Young made over the offseason. It's been pretty much airtight. As far as Wyatt Langford goes, I think you hit it right on the head there. I'm planning, as soon as we get off of this, I wanted to do a little bit of research today, but I want to look at Wyatt compared to the other guys who got Rookie of the Year votes in both the American and National League among position players and how they did from the second half of last season going forward. And Wyatt is going to rank very, very highly there. He has made the kind of typical upward ascent that you would like to see in a superstar. There's been no real ups and downs. He did struggle a little bit out of the gate last year, and I think that was largely due to kind of getting his swing a little bit too much uphill. But they made that adjustment. He came back from an IL stint, and since then he's been a really good baseball player, a really dangerous hitter.
I want to ask you, Evan, about Jock Peterson, and it gives me, it just hurts my heart to see the struggles that Jock has gone through. Obviously, he finally busted out of that 0 for 41 or whatever the heck it was. But then we were just all waiting and anticipating if the call was going to be overturned. What are you noticing from his swings? How does he? I mean, that helps obviously, but how does he get out of this and get back to the guy that they signed to begin with?
Look, I think the one thing that really works well for Jock here is his personality. He's not going to let himself get too down. He comes to the ballpark with a great attitude every day. He is an upbeat guy. I do think he's probably feeling a little bit of pressure because you come here, you sign a big contract, you're supposed to slug against right-handed pitching, and to this point you haven't. It's frustrating. There's no way around it. It's frustrating when you look up at the screen and you see your batting average is 058 or 060. On the subject of what he needs to do better, the only thing that I can kind of assess is it certainly looks to me like he's a little bit more crouched over at the plate. And he did say something early this season that he felt restricted in his swing. And he just hasn't seemed to have been able to get out of that area where he just is restricted in his swing. And I think that's one thing the Rangers have been working on, is to try and get him a little bit more upright and let him just kind of let loose a little bit. But it's looked on occasion like he's uncomfortable at the plate swinging.
You talk about, struggles, not struggling. Jacob deGrom, past injury history, we've seen it, but he looked good last night. Nathan Eovaldi gets his first complete game, but Kumar Rocker going to the IL. Where are they in the midst of all of this going on as far as trying to find a guy who can give them some innings? What is that looking like moving forward as of now?
Well, look, Cam, I think that at the end of spring when they signed Patrick Corbin, I think that was a really good depth move. They're not looking for Patrick Corbin to go out and win 15 games. They're not looking for him to pitch 200 innings. They're looking for him to go out there and give him 5 innings per start. As far as the Rocker situation goes, you look at this team going into the year, and when they had the injuries that they had to John Gray and Cody Bradford, and now you've got to push 2 rookies into the rotation, 2 guys who don't have a ton of major league experience. For them to get through this stretch in the position that they're in, I think has been overall a positive. I do think with Kumar Rocker, the biggest issue for him right now is as he works back from this shoulder impingement, and hopefully it's just a minor issue, he's really got to get to a point where he is comfortable and confident in a third pitch. I think it's been a little bit too predictable for hitters. I think too often in fastball counts, he's had to throw fastballs and hasn't been able to get it by hitters. And so I think that's going to be the big project for him. All of this gets said, I don't think we've said enough. Jack Leiter should be back this weekend, but he's been really impressive in his 2 starts before he had the blister issue. It's been a real step in the right direction. So I think the Rangers feel pretty positive about where their young pitchers are going. There are some things that still need to be addressed, but they've contributed to the Rangers' 14-11 starts. Rocker's had 5 starts, right? 3 have been not great. 2 have been really good. So even when he hasn't been consistent, there have been a couple of good starts in there that have allowed the Rangers to keep their head above water.
All right. Now, the person on the roster that I don't think you said his name, you were going through everything when you talked about Corey Seager. I might have missed it. He has the blandest name, and yet the last 2 years, he's been the guy that has just stepped up and done whatever's done. And he's hitting 333, and I think he only has like 50-some at-bats. Josh Smith, super bland name, and he's becoming a superstar, but will the Rangers allow him to become a superstar and play enough? Because there's other names that have been higher and bigger players, and he just keeps producing.
Well, Kratzy, I will correct you. I did say that he is hitting leadoff right now. That was the one thing I did say about it.
I thought you did say it, but yeah.
But, Josh's name gets overlooked a lot of times. What I will say about this is, look, he's already started at 6 different positions on the field this year. He is I think this almost diminishes him a little bit when you call him a super utility player, but he's got the ability to play anywhere on the field and do better than adequately there, and that's incredibly valuable. It's also valuable to getting him enough playing time because, as you said, the Rangers have a lot of guys who are kind of entrenched in their positions. But to this point, there's been plenty of opportunity for him to play. Josh Young went out for 10 days with a neck issue. He was the everyday third baseman. Wyatt Langford went out with an oblique issue. He was the everyday left fielder. Corey Seager is now out. He's going to be the everyday shortstop. And I think before it's all over with, he could get more of a look in center field because I think the Rangers are going to have to consider what they do with Leody Taveras there. It's just not been a good start to the year for him. And Leody has now had 5 years out there, and it's just not making a big step forward. So I think that there are challenges to getting him everyday playing time, but so far the Rangers have found that, and they will continue to make efforts to get him in the lineup. Bruce Bochy does not, in any way, shape, or form, diminish the value that Josh Smith has brought to this club. His at-bats have been probably the best and most consistent from the start of the year for this team.
Evan, the reason AJ Pierzynski is not on the show today is because he's going to San Francisco to bother you and do the Giants-Rangers game. So be on the lookout for AJ asking for free stuff from you. But speaking of the upcoming Giants series, this is a good team, probably a better team than a lot of us gave credit to. How can the Giants, in your opinion, or how can the Rangers, in your opinion, be effective against San Francisco?
Look, I think the biggest thing, Alanna, is right now the process offensively has got to continue to improve. I think when the first night I can't stop myself from saying Oakland. The first night in Sacramento, we saw a team that stopped swinging indiscriminately, took some more pitches. To Erik's point, Josh Smith in the first game in the leadoff spot takes a leadoff walk. Their second leadoff walk of the year to start off a game ends up with a 2-run inning because they've got guys on base. They're getting better pitches to hit. When I looked at the stats earlier this week, this team led the major leagues in swing percentage and was last in walk percentage. And when you do that, you better be putting balls in play and hitting the ball hard, and the Rangers just haven't done that yet. So I think they've got to be a little bit more patient at the plate and work through that. That would be, for me, their number one project going into this Giants series.
All right, Evan, we have to read off stats for players all the time. We're going to read off an awesome stat for you. You are now a league leader in foul territory. We've had 509 reporter guests that, besides Ken Rosenthal, 509 reporter guest spots. You have 12 of them. You have 12 of them. You are 2 ahead of Britt Giroli and 1 ahead of C. Trent Rosecrans. So we want to keep you hungry. We got to make sure we know who is in second and third place, so you stay ready. But we appreciate you here at the FT Network.
Well, look, I don't want to say anything, but if anything bad happens to Britt or C. Trent, don't come looking for me. It's great to be with you guys. It's especially great with no AJ here. So it's like actually talking ball and not my gluttony.
Other stuff. That'll be for this weekend. When he sees you this weekend, it'll ruin your weekend in San Francisco. Normally it's cold in San Francisco. It's just going to be cold all weekend for you. So sorry.
Well, at least there will be hot air to go around. So that'll be
there
good.
There you go.
Evan, we appreciate you very much. Even though Cam and Erik disagree with your barbecue choices, Cam says it's all about North Carolina. Erik says it doesn't matter. You got to do it at home. I don't care. I just like to eat. We love you, my friend. Thanks for being on.
Peace. Another time, Cam and I will get into the whole North Carolina versus Texas.
Yeah, we will.
Take care, y'all.
All right. Take care. Evan Grant, we appreciate you. All right, guys. So Dan Hayes, MLB, talking about Carlos Correa, says he feels good but isn't getting the results he wants. Asked if he's dealing with any pain or discomfort. I'm dealing with my swing sucks right now. We've all been there, right? That's the only thing I'm dealing with. I don't feel too far off. It's not like I'm going out and striking out 3 times a night. There's been some good contact, some good ABs. It's just the consistency is not quite there, and that's what we're trying to find. I would imagine, Cam, we'll start with you. That's got to be an awful feeling. You said it earlier. It's like an alien comes and takes away your ability to play baseball. What's he going through?
Yeah, again, a guy like Carlos, who also, we've seen him have some struggles in the past, right? He hasn't been one of these guys that we talked about who just year after year knocks the cover off the ball. But we know he's a postseason menace. But I think guys like Carlos, I think it's as simple as what he said, taking accountability. My swing is not there right now, but also getting back to what you do well, right? And I think it's as simple as when I was with Houston, one thing that they constantly did month after month, they checked the heat chart. Hey, Cam, this is where you handle the ball extremely well. This is where you do the most damage. And at times, as players, sometimes we get away from our strengths and we worry about what the pitcher does really well, right? We forget about what we do great, so we start chasing their strengths. So I think it's as simple as for Carlos, Byron, get the ball close to you and look to do damage in the middle of the field. And I know it sounds simple here when, from my couch seat, but I think that's the plan, right? And also understand it. And, one of the best guys that I think I've been around, Frankie Lindor, he always talked about sacrificing at bats when things aren't going well. So I think that's a situation right now where you go, hey, the next 10 to 20 at bats, I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to go low line drives, back up the middle, and see what happens. And then you start to see if you can gain a little bit of ground. So I think he has a plan. Carlos is a caged rat. He's always in there trying to figure things out. So I think if he continues to keep that mentality, I think it'll pan out when it's all said and done.
Yeah,
it's got to be tough, Erik, right?
It's an opportunity to keep learning. Look, he's not aged out. It's not like you're looking at him like, shortstop's at 34 years old. No, he's 30 years old. Like, Carlos will be fine. He's had dips. I was looking at his stats the one year when he was, he had a 230 average. Then last year he got back up to 310 with a 905 OPS. If you're asking me if Carlos Correa is going to figure it out, I'm going to say yes, 10 times out of 10 until the end of the season, and he didn't figure it out. He is that type of player, and he's that type of worker.
I love this. There's a article, guys, in The Athletic, reasons for all 30 Major League Baseball teams to be optimistic, pessimistic based on early season returns. So this was an article by Jim Bowden. We appreciate him, obviously on the Foul Territory family as well. So we picked a few of the teams, guys. Braves, Mets, who else? Phillies, Cubs, Dodgers, Red Sox. All right, so here we have it. So Mets, the reason to be optimistic, slow start. Their lineup looks like it could get back to its lethal form 2 years ago. And pessimistic, the losses of Max Fried and Charlie Morton and free agency combined with the early surgery from Lopez has left Braves with several reasons or several rotation questions. Do you agree with that? By the way, Cam's Tigers are on here too on this list. So do you agree with that in terms of the Braves, Cam?
I'm sorry, Alanna, I didn't hear that last part.
Do you agree that the best, that the Braves optimistic slow start, their lineup looks like it could get back to its lethal form from 2 years ago?
Well, again, this is my question. We saw this when Acuna first came back from his first ACL. It took him a second. It took him a whole year, and the following years when he put up that incredible MVP season. So I still worry about Ronald Acuna. I still think he is the heartbeat. I still think he is the catalyst. If they can get him back to just an all-star level, Ronald Acuna, with just, I know the tweet doesn't help, doesn't look great when he's calling out Kelnick and things like that. But I think if you can get him back, Austin Riley, I don't know if they can be as formidable as that year. I think they did some extremely special things from a record standpoint. But I think they can be extremely competitive. But to that level, no, I don't think so. And if I'm not mistaken, was Freddie on that team we talking about? Or was Olsen still there?
No.
Year?
The year that they were legit. No, Freddie was gone already.
Okay.
They won
they led it.
They won the World Series.
It was.
Yeah, they won the World Series, and then the 23 is when they had 9 guys go to the start in the All-Star game. All 9 guys. It was the Braves. It was the Braves game.
Jock was wearing the pearls and.
Yes,
they were feeling it.
It was a lot of magic. It was a lot of magic. When things happen, years like that, there's a lot of magic going on. They do a great job, right? Locking guys up, signing guys, but I just still think in the totality, the pitching, I just don't think they can get it done, and I don't think the offense is the same.
Erik, let's talk about your Phils for a second. What's the biggest reason for optimism when you think about the Phillies, and what concerns you the most about the Fightins?
I mean, it's two things, and both involve pitching. Yes, you're going to talk about in playoffs, this team strikes out too much. Yes, they're not hitting against starting pitching to start this season. Hitters can make adjustments like that. You don't pick up a front-of-the-line rotation guy in the offseason very often. And they did that. That's the optimistic part for me is Jesus Luzardo has looked everything of what they wanted when they went out to get him. People forget at this point in the year, too, the Phillies, after that, went after Kyle Tucker, too. They fell short. They were looking to make that move that the Cubs clearly have made that's been awesome. So the Phillies aren't done. Dave Dombrowski is not done. And he can't be done because the bullpen right now is horrendous. Matt Strahm isn't having the year that he had last year, which was a historic year with historic runs. He'll be fine. Jose Alvarado, he's got a little uptick in his velo, and he's throwing strikes. Ever since spring training, I think in spring training he had like 7 innings, struck out 20 guys. He's been taking that into the season. He's been elite. You can't do it with 2 guys. Dave Dombrowski will not stand around and allow a guy like Jordan Romano to continue to be healthy on the roster without trying to figure something out. You see it out there. Jordan looks frustrated. He looks confused. I see them probably being able to figure out a way to get him back to some type of level of success because I think he's got like a 13 ERA right now. And then when that happens, you're pushing everybody else into situations that they're not used to. Orion Kerkering will step up. So I think they have the core pieces. They're just struggling right now. It's not going to be a complete overhaul, trade 4 of the guys out of the bullpen. No, that's not going to happen. Dave Dombrowski will find guys. Shocking news, Lehigh Valley, their AAA team, actually has the lowest bullpen ERA in all of AAA going into last night's game. So that's a cool thing. Not saying the answers are in AAA, but there's probably some answers.
I do agree with what you said right off the top, that Dave Dombrowski will do whatever he needs to do to figure this out. That's one guy I've always had a ton of faith in when it comes to front office moves and getting what he needs to do. Let me ask you this, Cameron Maybin, in terms of first world problems, look no further, my friend, than the Los Angeles Dodgers. Jim Bowden saying this is the optimism. They have the best and deepest starting rotation in the sport when healthy. They have 3 impact closers. The top 3 batters in their order are future Hall of Famers, and their lineup is as deep as the rotation. The pessimism, the Dodgers continue to deal with rotation injuries, big and small, from Snell to Tyler Gonsolin, who's coming back, Hirsch is coming back, and Tyler Glasnow has cramps. Drink some pickled juice. I mean, honestly, like nobody feels sorry, Cam, for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Nobody.
Well, not only do I feel sorry, nor do I sit here and worry, Alanna, when you talk about all of that depth, right? That's why, and this is why they went out and did what they did this offseason. Everybody was in an uproar. Well, they're adding this guy and they're adding that guy. Well, one thing the Dodgers continue to do is stay ahead of the curve. Well, guess what? Sometimes you can't fix every injury, right? Sometimes you don't know how to put your pulse on what is the reason behind it. So what should we do? Let's just go load up, right? This is a part of being smarter and ahead of everybody else. At the end of the day, we all know, and you know best, Alanna, the Dodgers are looking towards September. We know when it comes down to it, when it comes down to stretch, and we saw it last year, they're going to make that run. Guys are going to come back when they need to be back. And what people don't know, too, when I came into the game, it was a lot of, hey, can you play through that? Can you stomach it? Can you get through it? Well, now what we don't even realize, sometimes when guys go in and say, hey, I got something. Take a day. Matter of fact, we got more guys. Matter of fact, let's see what he can do. Let's get him some at-bats. Let's get him some innings. And so there are situations where guys say, take a day. Take your 10. Go figure it out. Go get healthy. So the Dodgers, there's nothing to worry about. They went out and made these moves to be in the situation they're in. They're going to figure it out. It's April. I don't stress at all when it comes to the Dodgers.
Somebody is salty that he had to play through some pain. Pain. All right, AJ, when you look at the Eric, when you look at the Boston Red Sox, is the issue that Devers is having offensively right now, is that enough of an issue of concern as far as the pessimism is concerned? Or are we looking at it too much? Is it too much of a big deal for us?
I mean, it's a big deal, but the pessimism, I think that's optimism. Rafi Devers is going to be fine. And the best part may be the fact that the first baseman, Tristan Casas, is also struggling. So I'm not saying you're moving Devers to first. I'm not saying he's going to be more successful because he's on his feet playing and not sitting on the couch or taking a million swings in the cage trying to get up for his 4 or 5 at-bats. But you know what? To me, if someone else was struggling and you had to replace him, you would have an issue. Tristan Casas is struggling. It is not going well for him right now. I think he had back-to-back games with home runs, but he still only has 3 on the year. You can't have that kind of production from that position if you have budding prospects in the minor leagues who are absolutely smashing the ball. Anthony's down there smashing it, and he wants to be up in the big leagues. This team wants guys who are able to contribute right away, and he's one of those. To me, that's you look at Tristan Casas and you say, is he going to turn this around? You look at Rafi Devers, he's going to turn it around. And that's only because of track record. That's it. Not saying Tristan can't. It's just a question of is he? And this team wants to win now based on the fact that they went out and got Crochet, extended them. They went out and got Alex Bregman. They feel their window is now, and they're going to go after it, and they're not going to stand for dudes hitting 170 playing first base.
Yeah, Jim Bowden said that Tristan Casas at first base was a nightmare, but this is a team, Cam Maybin, that strikes out too much. They are the league leader in errors, but let's talk about the Metropolitans, a team that just had a 7-0 homestand, including a sweep of Erik's Philadelphia Phillies. The optimism, the Mets have the best record in baseball. They lead the majors with a team ERA of 2.34. Pessimism, the bottom half of the Mets lineup is showing signs of underachievement as third baseman Mark Vientos is off to a slow start. What is your perception of the Mets? Should we be worried, or is this team better than we thought?
I think the rotation is much better than we thought. But for me, I think it starts with the real captain, the true captain. And it's not the guy that signed for $800 million. When I sit back and I turn when I sit back and I turn the TV on and I flip the Mets game on, Francisco Lindor has an energy that comes through the television, right? And I was fortunate enough and lucky enough to play with him and share a clubhouse with him and pick his brain. But when I look at all the noise around Juan Soto, right? Does he miss New York? And I was hitting behind Judge, or I was hitting in front of Judge, and this and that, and the money and the struggles. Francisco Lindor continues to be a quiet catalyst, right? The guy that just shows up super fresh. I won't say he's in his work clothes or his clothes are extremely, fire and clean and high end, but he shows up with his work pail on and his high end designer clothes, and he continues to just lead that squad, right? You talk about Carlos Mendoza. He's leading that squad, understanding who he needs to lean on to get these guys where they want to go. And every single night, whether it's defensively, whether it's base running, whether it's offensively, Frankie Lindor is the heartbeat and the soul of the New York Mets. And as I continue to watch him, I'll be the guy that says he's extremely underappreciated. And maybe it's because he's playing for the Mets and the Mets fans are up and down and wishy-washy as they come. But that guy deserves his flowers for being a consummate professional and the ultimate leader when you talk about the Mets.
Yeah, we had Carlos Mendoza on the show yesterday here on Foul Territory talking about what you were talking about with Juan Soto in the lineup. He's like, listen, he was just answering a question, but in New York, it's going to be a headline. Kratz, do you suppose with the Mets situation, the rotation and the way that Pete Alonso is playing, are they the NL East favorites?
I have to say they're not, just because Mets fans really don't like me when I talk about the Mets, because I called them a third-place team before, and they have proven me wrong. This team has played together. Are they the NL East favorites? No, I don't think so. Is this pitching staff a lot better than I thought? Absolutely. What is going to be the anchor of this pitching staff? Are you going to get 30 starts out of Kodai Senga? Are you going to get a half a whip, 0.05 whip from Max Kranick the whole season? Probably not. So where is that extra depth going to come from? Vientos is going to pop up. He's going to improve. They're improving here. To me, this next 2 weeks is huge for the Mets because they're getting back the guy that I think is one of the leaders on the field also, not Lindor-esque, but Francisco Alvarez behind the dish. Luis Torrens did an amazing job of leading this staff. Can they transition because every catcher calls a little bit of a different game, but can they transition to Francisco Alvarez back behind the dish? Because that guy, to me, marked the change because he was hurt early in the season last year when they were struggling, marked the change when this team flipped and started to win. So if they can continue to win with him, ask me in a few weeks if I think they're going to win the division. I'll probably say yes. Right now, I still think it's the Phillies' division to win.
Shocking, and you call me a homer. Cameron Maybin with the Detroit Tigers, your ball club. The pessimism, according to Jim Bowden, the lack of lineup depth is glaring, and the Tigers will only go as far as their offense. The optimistic choices for Jim, the Tigers are the only team with 4 starting pitchers who have pitched at least 20 innings and posted ERAs under 2.90. Do you like this club? Yes or no? Of course, you have to say yes because you're a homer too when it comes to that. But is there enough?
Of course, I have to say yes, right? And you spoke on it, and Jim spoke on it. It's, offensively, it's the middle of the pack. Batting average 10th, runs 11th, home runs 16th, on base percentage 11th, slugging 18th. But it's the ERA, the homers allowed, the WHIP, where they're third, fifth. Like, those are spots where you win ball games, and that's been their MO. Even going back to last year, the second half of their success came because AJ Hinch, who is maybe the magician of matchups when he talking about setting guys up for success, whether it's a guy coming out of the bullpen, whether it's Andy Ibanez coming in to face a lefty, Kerry Carpenter coming in to get a righty. AJ Hinch does a better job than anybody outside of maybe Alex Cora in setting his guys up for success, right? Understanding matchups, innings before they come, outs before they come. And when I see that, Jim Bowden is definitely right. The offense is an issue. But the thing about AJ, Alanna, is he gets his guys to start in their roles. AJ is one of the best communicators that I've ever been around. And what he's going to do is he's going to go, hey, Andy Ibanez, you do a great job of seeing pitches, controlling the zone, getting hits, starring that. Hey, Riley Green, you do a great job of using the whole field. Get back to that. And what I do love is they found a way to insert Javi Baez now. What people don't know about Javi, and I was his teammate, because I was a lot of guys' teammates, playing for so many different teams. Javi Baez came up a center fielder, and I remember shagging with him in the outfield, and him telling me, I'm like, what are you doing out here? He's like, bro, I was a center fielder before I was a shortstop, where usually it's the opposite way around, where guys go from infield to outfield. He went from the outfield to the infield. So the little moves, the little adjustments, being able to, maneuver chess pieces as good as anybody, I believe in the Tigers. And then, once again, Alanna, if you talk about any Central, NL, AL, it's always up for grabs. So I love the Tigers' chances when we talk about what they have to compete with. It's just the Royals for me right now. So I like where they are.
Yeah, it's not going to be the Twins.
Cam, exactly. I want you to look at your right shoulder. I want you to look at your right shoulder just like this, okay? Just because Alanna called you and I both a homer, okay? We're both looking at the person who has a Dodgers show. We don't have a Phillies show. We don't have a Tigers show. This is a baseball show. Nope, that's your left shoulder. That's your left shoulder. You got to look at your right shoulder. Yep.
That one.
Got a Dodgers show. That is it should be called Homer territory.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't hate us because you ain't us, okay? They ain't not like us. They
Spoken like
us. A
Dodger, too. Spoken like a Dodger.
That's
Don't hate
right.
us because you ain't us.
We do, in fact,
she's not talking about the Rockies.
We do, in fact, have those shows. You just don't happen to be the host of them. We do have a Phillies
She ain't talking about the Rockies.
No, because the Rockies are
unbelievable.
Garbage. The Rockies are garbage, and the Dodgers treated me like family. So
that's right.
Hey, that's right. I got 3 rings. It's not my fault. Anyway, don't hate the player, hate the game. Kratzy. All right, coming up, Ken Rosenthal. He is not a homer. He covers all teams equally. He is joining us on Foul Territory. We'll be right back. Here's a little something. The first team Ken Rosenthal ever covered. The Orioles' rotation's ERA is back below 6. I'm not sure that we should be excited about it, but it's no longer the worst in Major League Baseball. It's now 5.82, ranked 29th behind the Colorado Rockies. My word, I thought the Orioles' Erik Kratz were going to be a lot better than this. However, their starting rotation is decimated. We know that.
Yes, only if you could find some starting rotation in the offseason. Only if you could have gone out and gotten – Jesus Luzardo. On the chat, we talked about different people that, the Orioles tried to go after. It didn't happen. Hey, you know what? It's tough. They went after, I'm pretty sure they went after Burns and gave him, 4-year, what was it, $150 million
They did
offer.
go after him. He just wanted to be in Arizona. That wasn't really on
He wanted to be in
Baltimore.
Arizona, but they made a high AAV offer. You know what? When it's not working out, you have to pivot and be able to make the next adjustment. This is their window. And never am I going to say it was a failed offseason, but they didn't do good. Like, to me, they fell on their face when they were trying to make these offers, and it's kind of coming to fruition now. I think they'll have some positive steps from their bullpen. Starting rotation, it's tough. When you lose your number one guy, it's tough.
And I won't let them forget about this. I'm sorry. You got all those prospects, a plethora. You've done a great job as an organization going to get them. Garrett Crochet's right there. Like, if you don't get Burns, give up a couple of those guys and go get a guy like Garrett Crochet. So I'm with you, Kratzy. They kind of, you made your bet and you kind of have to lay in it.
Wasn't Walker Buehler right there? Wasn't Sandy Alcantara right there? I mean, weren't these other guys there?
Flaherty's out there. I mean, and these are guys that I don't think would have cost you that much when you talk about those names, right? They're not warning what Corbin Burns was asking for, so there were pieces out there.
Trade deadline might be too late.
These prospects a lot. Yep.
Might be too late.
They may not make the postseason, or they may not. They might be out of it at the trade deadline. You guys.
And listen, and nobody's talking about this, and it's early. The Rays, they're not going anywhere. They're not. I know they got a lot going on, but when you just look at the construction, is what they always do. I'm with you, Alanna. The Orioles have some holes to fill because the Rays aren't going anywhere either.
Yep.
They're drowning.
They're
drowning.
They got a new owner, but that's about it. All right, coming up, Ken Rosenthal is next. Lots to talk about with Ken when we come back. Time now for the Inside Scoop with Ken Rosenthal. Apparently his camera is frozen, so you're stuck with me for a little bit. We were talking about, obviously, the Orioles with the holes and the Rays not going anywhere. They have nowhere to go except Steinbrenner Field right now. But are you impressed with the fact that we just talked to Tyler with the Athletics? Are you impressed, Cam, that the Rays are still doing what they're doing despite playing, minor league ballpark, the ball flies, but you just got to go to work with your lunch pail, like you said, and get the job done. They're doing it.
Yeah, it almost kind of makes me think in the situation that they're in, maybe it makes a player hungrier, right? When everything's against you, you've got no home field. Maybe it gives you more gratitude to show up to the ballpark and go out and go, hey, you know what? While everybody's talking and saying this and that about us, we still can control the narrative, right? And that's going and taking the field and playing together. And one thing the Rays haven't done in a decade or decades now is they don't deviate from the plan. They have and still have one of the best scouting departments in all of baseball. And you look at guys that are coming. They have guys that are still coming. I say he's a mix between Billy Hamilton and Otis Nixon. Like, I think he's that type of guy. I think he's a better version of Billy Hamilton, actually. I think he has a better hit tool. And then even guys, on the lower levels that are coming, they have guys that when they get to the big leagues, they're ready. The kid from LSU, what's his name? Lefty stick. I can't think of his name. First rounder a few years ago.
We'll get to it after Ken comes on. Ken's coming on.
Perfect.
You'll remember.
Yeah. But I love the Rays.
All right, Ken, great to see you as always. We're talking a little bit about, first, we're going to tee you up on the Mets surge. This is a team you and I talked about on Fair Territory on Thursday. This is a club, we had Carlos Mendoza on yesterday. This is a club that I think their starting rotation is better than we gave them credit for.
It is. And I saw something yesterday where some of their expected numbers aren't as good as their actual numbers. So perhaps some regression is in order for the Mets. And okay, that's normal. And when you start this quickly, that's generally what's going to happen. There'll be some regression. But the mere fact that they're in this position without Manaea, without Montas, is really speaking well to their pitching plan, what they've done with Clay Holmes to make him a starter, what they've done with Griffin Canning to make him a viable major league starter again, they seem to have it going pretty well on the pitching front. And once they get Manaea and Montas back, they should be in that much better position. They also, Alanna, have some prospects coming, Brandon Sproat being the most notable among them, who could contribute at some point this season as well.
All right, well, if this was college football, we'd have power rankings, and the Cubs should be high on the power rankings, the RPI, because they've played the absolute juggernauts of teams, and they're done with them. Does that show you that they are not just the best team in the Central, which we bag on all the time, but one of the top 3 NL teams in baseball right now, or in the National League right now?
I want to see more before I proclaim them as that. The NL West teams and the Mets right now look more powerful even than the Cubs. Now, the Cubs had a great run early on here. They're 16-10. They're done with the Diamondbacks, done with the Dodgers, done with the Padres, survived that gauntlet, and not only that, thrived in that gauntlet. So, yes, the schedule will ease in May, and there are still questions here. The bullpen, maybe the bottom of the rotation now without Steele, maybe the offense at the bottom of the order. It's been great so far. Can it be sustained? We'll see. But at the very least, they have shown that they're a much more formidable club than they were a year ago. And it seems to me, guys, you can speak to it better than I could, but the addition of Tucker was not just adding one bat to the lineup. It was transforming the lineup, making the entire team better. You take the pressure off the rest of the players in that offensive scenario, and it becomes that much more impressive what they're doing. So I do like what I'm seeing right now. We've got them on Fox tomorrow. I'm here in Chicago right now, and they had an incredible week. The win over the Diamondbacks after they gave up a 10-run inning, the 2 back-to-back wins over the Dodgers come from behind. Wrigley was rocking. I expect it to be rocking this weekend against the Phillies as well.
Hey, Ken, I want to jump to the other side for a second to talk Yankees. And I thought you wrote a pretty awesome article. And we know the history of the Yankees. They have taken a lot of pride in their homegrown talent. And you talked about that right now. They have some young guys that they're really counting on. Some going through some early season woes, but we know Volpe has, he's the Gold Glover. He's hit 20, he stole 20. He's done some special things in the pinstripes. Can you just touch on that article and talk about how important it is for the Yankees throughout their history to have that homegrown talent and build it from within?
Well, Cam, it's interesting. So I wrote that article, and it's basically about, yes, how they have done a better job of late getting homegrown talent to the majors. They also trade a ton of homegrown players. And it was about the obstacles they face in the draft because they lose picks when they sign free agents. They get pushed back when they go over luxury tax threshold by $40 million. So they've had some disadvantages in terms of identifying and selecting players in the draft. But after I wrote it, I saw a lot of the comments from the Yankee fans who are kind of self-hating Yankee fans, it seems to me. And they're like, well, Volpe's not that good.
Miserable.
Wells is not that good. He's hitting under 200. Guys, yeah, right now. But when you can field a team, or a lineup, I should say, and Aaron Judge almost shouldn't count, but he is homegrown, okay? Let's start there. Then you got Ben Rice DHing. You got Wells behind the plate. You got Volpe at shortstop. Granted, the third base situation is homegrown right now. It's not exactly where you want it. And you've got Jason Dominguez in left field, plus Clark Schmidt in the rotation. I hate to tell you, folks, that's pretty good. Now, are all these players going to be stars? Nowhere in that article do I suggest that. Do I say that Wells could be? And it just speaks well that the Yankees are doing this. Now, they're not the only team doing this. The Mets really have it going too in this regard. The Red Sox, we know about their farm system and what it's producing. Some other clubs as well. So, yes, the Yankees are not the only team. But for them to do what they've done, it does speak well of their amateur scouting, their international scouting, and their player development.
Well, let's stay there. New York. We know how volatile those Yankees fans can be. We've seen Jazz Chisholm really struggle, right? Start off hot against the Brewers. Anthony Volpe struggles well. A guy who has not struggled and is going to kind of create, I think, somewhat of a good problem, Ben Rice. What do they do when Stanton comes back? Because right now, when you talk about those struggles of those other guys, you cannot afford to lose his bat, but You have an outfield of Dominguez who's looking like he needs to continue to get those at-bats. We know what Judge is doing. Trent Grissom has looked extremely good out there in center, and Bailey as well. What happens when Stanton comes back?
Cam, I would only say that, and I hate to sound like a general manager here because this is a broken record we hear every single year, every month from general managers. It's a good problem to have. And it is a good problem to have when you have too many good players. And other teams are in this scenario in other scenarios as well. And in the Yankees' case with Stanton, he has been hurt so often, it seems to me you can ease him back in, keep playing Rice, and figure it out that way. Now, Rice, of course, has experience at first base where Paul Goldschmidt is. He's a catcher by trade. I don't know that he's going to be doing that for the Yankees. So you have some options there, but it seems to me this is one of these things they'll figure out as they go along. And who knows if somebody else might get hurt. Maybe they can get Stanton in the outfield certain days when they would want to DH Rice. There are things that they can do, but yeah, it's a question certainly that will come up once Stanton is back. He's not back yet.
Ken, yesterday on the show, we were talking about, first of all, how we would love to have our team built around Bobby Witt Jr. And there was an article in The Athletic about, kind of following Bobby's routine, everything he goes through. And there's another one that had just come out, the same thing around Stephen Kwan, how his mental edge has helped unlock an undersized Major League Baseball star. There seems to be a focus with your organization, with The Athletic, of doing that more. Why is that?
Well, we have this department, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but we have a group of writers, or at least one writer, who is focusing on that. Actually, it is a directive, and it is something we're trying to do. And both those articles, the one on Witt and the one on Kwan, were extremely interesting and revealing. And I'm not just saying that because I work for The Athletic, though I certainly do. But I was not aware that Witt had this kind of routine. I was not aware of Kwan's motivations, his inner thoughts. And from that perspective alone, just how these guys go about it, how they work at it, that to me is really interesting, especially I would think to parents of young athletes who are trying to figure out why these guys are so good at what they do. For every major league player, it's not just physical ability, it's work ethic. And it's also routine and process and all of that. So I believe the series is called Peak, and we're going to have more stories along those lines as well. And honestly, both those stories to me really stood out because they told you things, and this is the goal of any story really, that people I don't think knew. And with Bobby Witt especially, you look at this guy, he's a physical freak. Man, he can do anything he wants in the baseball field, but no, he has this whole series of things he does each day, all different things, including listening to a podcast. And that is what makes him who he is.
On Fair Territory, you talked about the Blake Snell injury or continued injury. When you hear something like that from a superstar offseason signing, it's normally concerning. When it's from the Dodgers and Dave Roberts comes out and goes, well, we're just really gearing up for October, is it less concerning, or is it still concerning and that's just the way that the Dodgers are painting the picture for the fans?
It's got to be concerning. Anytime you have a pitcher with arm trouble, it's concerning. The difference with the Dodgers, and this speaks to what Roberts was talking about, is they have other options. They've got Tony Gonsolin coming. They've got Clayton Kershaw coming. And, oh yeah, at some point, Shohei Ohtani is going to pitch again. So they have this depth that other teams simply cannot match. And because they have that depth, they have the ability to shut down pitchers if they're not quite right, take their time with pitchers who are injured. And I'm not saying that Snell is not a real thing. It's a real thing for sure. But at the same time, they're not going to push it with any of these guys because what they are trying to do is point everything toward October. Now, what's really interesting to me is if the NL West is as good as it started off, if the Giants, the Padres, and Diamondbacks are really competitive, at some point the Dodgers are going to have to put their foot on the gas a little bit. And they're not doing that right now, that's for sure. They're kind of going about it in a different way, and you can understand it coming off a World Series title as well. When pitchers go deep into October, it's more difficult for them at the start of the next season. We're seeing it not just with the Dodgers rotation, but also with their bullpen. So they're going to be an interesting team to watch. Do I expect they'll make the playoffs? Yes. And do I expect they'll be formidable in October? Yes. But this is a tricky landscape that they're navigating, and it's a fine balance, and it's going to be something we'll be following all season.
I just can't believe they're not going to finish 162-0. I just don't know what is happening there in Los Angeles. Ken, before we let you go, Jim Bowden, your colleague with The Athletic, just came out with an article about being optimistic and pessimistic about certain teams. You are covering the Phillies and the Cubs this weekend. As you mentioned, you are in Chicago. What is your opinion on the one thing that's optimistic about them as well as pessimistic? What are you looking for?
The Cubs or the Phillies, Alanna?
Both.
Both? Okay. Cubs, optimistic. They're leading the majors in runs scored. I don't know that anyone expected that. So what I'm optimistic is that their offense is going to be, at the very least, above average. It certainly seems that way unless they crash, which I don't expect. Pessimistic, bullpen. They're going to have to figure that out at some point. Maybe get some new arms in there as well at the deadline, which every team will be looking for. Phillies, optimistic simply because of who they are and the track record of so many of their fine players. There's no reason to panic when you're in the situation they're in right now, right around 500, not exactly rolling. Pessimistic, guess what? Same answer, bullpen. And they're good with Alvarado, they're good with Strom, they're good with Kerkering, ultimately, even though he struggled of late. Jordan Romano has to reestablish himself, and they need to get some other pitchers performing well in addition to that. Tanner Banks has been okay from the left side. So that's the one thing that has been odd with them so far. The other thing that's been odd with them, or at least unusual for them, is that they haven't hit with runners in scoring position. That I don't expect to continue. They're a good offensive team, and that will come to the fore.
Bullpen. It's always about that bullpen. I wonder if they do anything early, or do you think they wait to the deadline? Can they go early and get some guys now? Because everyone's going to be looking for bullpen help.
It's tough to do right now. You'd be paying a premium price, and all teams want to see what they have, exactly what they have. But at some point, the bullpen market will heat up, probably after the All-Star break, and we will see some bodies flying, as we always do in July.
All right, Ken Rosenthal, you are the absolute best. We appreciate you. Don't forget, you can see a brand new episode of Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal on Monday. We always appreciate having Ken as part of the Foul Territory Network. Don't forget to catch him on Fair Territory Mondays and live with me on Thursdays at 12:30 Eastern. Have a great time in Chicago, Ken. We look forward to watching you. All right, guys, time now for our Thursday recap of the locks that we had. I'm excited to be able to participate in this with you because I'm the only one that was a winner. I picked the Angels money line. Apparently, I won on that. Erik, you did not win Colorado versus Kansas City. They had a double header yesterday, and you took the over on 9 runs. You lost on that one. And our friend AJ Pierzynski lost as well. Tampa Bay versus Arizona. As far as the money bags are concerned today, gentlemen, Cam, you go first, apparently. You did a pretty good job. Give us your lock for today.
Oh, I just want to say thank you. It's been so long since I've seen myself up in the money. Oh, my gosh. Kratz, whew. You know what? Yeah, but in the game of baseball, it's what have you done for me lately? So you know what I'm doing? A struggling team right now, but one guy I don't bet against very often. Pablo Lopez is on the bump for Minnesota. So I'm going Minnesota tonight, money line, but I'm going under the run total. So put your money on that, chalk it up, and let's see if we can continue to make some bread. I want to see it.
All right, so you're going with the same game parlay, taking the Twins. Is that what you're saying? All right, you're taking the
Yes,
Twins money line and the under and run scored at 8. You're putting down 100 to win 165. All right, Erik, what is yours?
I'm going 2 Nerfies. I'm parlaying 2 Nerfies, no run first inning. 2 teams that have struggled to score runs in the first inning, Cardinals and Milwaukee. Liberator versus Patrick, going no run first inning. And I'm also going no runs first inning, Pirates and Dodgers game with Yamamoto and Paul Skeens, 2 of the best pitchers in the game. See what we got. Parlaying that for plus 207.
That's a good call. We also have a home run lock for today for you guys as well. Cam, who's your home run lock?
Well, you know what? I'm sticking with those Yankees in that short point to right field. The big fella, one of the greatest right-handed hitters of all time, Aaron Judge, is going to take Jose Barrios deep for, I think, the 5th time. He's got 4. Put my money on Aaron Judge. Backside bomb today.
Randall Grichuk.
319. 319-foot homer today.
Randall Grichuk. All right. Cam, who's a better right-handed hitter, Miguel Cabrera or Aaron Judge? Hurry.
Miguel Cabrera.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Not even close. Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer. All right. Hot Corner is next. All right, time now for the hot corner, the Texas Rangers versus the Athletics. What are we doing here? Jacob Wilson gets his first walk-off. Is that exciting to you guys?
Yes.
I think his setup is more exciting than anything. Is that
why? Tell me.
Is he like does that crazy? Who is that? Is that the? He hits crazy.
He hits. He gets knocked.
But you said it, Kratz. He hits. You said it. Don't worry about how it looks. Worry about what is he getting the job done, and he is getting the job done.
I mean, here's something that's fun. He recorded the A's final walk-off at the Oakland Coliseum, guys, so September 24th of last season, and then he has the first walk-off in Sacramento. I mean, that's kind of special.
Hey, get your batting title, young fella. I know we love homers in the game, but there was once upon a time when players did care about average and again, I don't want to stay here too long, but average says a lot about a guy, right? It lets me know he can get a guy in, he can get a guy over, he can come through in a big situation. So, I love what he's going to do. And guys like that, the power will continue to come once they figure things out and realize, hey, I can take more chances.
Is he your Rookie of the Year candidate? Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah?
For sure. He's Luis Arraez from the right side of the plate. And he's a rookie, so you can't not have him as a candidate. Will he win? You're going to have to look at something like 340, 350 for him to win. What he's doing right now, awesome. I think he's hitting 330 with an OPS plus of 128. He's got 4 punch-outs in 95 at-bats. His 95 plate appearances, 4 punch-outs. He adds a dynamic to the game that I don't think all pitchers are able to combat. They're just looking to strike dudes out, and he's not going to strike out. He's got a lot going on with the swing, and he makes contact. It's not always barrels. He makes contact. He is a pro hitter, and he's shown that early in his career here.
Erik, that's what Cam was saying. It was like back in the day, average mattered, right? Putting the ball in play mattered, hitting pitching to contact mattered. And it almost seems like this kid doesn't want to strike out. It's like back in the day, it was an embarrassing act if you struck out.
Yes.
Right? I mean, look at the way Tony Gwynn used to play. And it's like
look at your favorite team, Alanna. The Dodgers, they win.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like now there's like 3 outcomes, right? Strikeout, walk, home run. Like now, it seems like he plays like in a different era. That feels like, like he should have been playing a long time ago.
Yes, he does. Amen. I love that. You're right. But again, look at the teams that have won. Your Dodgers, the Braves go back to the past. The Diamondbacks who have been in it. What do? They find a way to manufacture runs, right? They went back to that old school brand of baseball. We don't have to wait for the home run. So that guy, that young man, I think he's a breath of fresh air to the game and how it's kind of starting to trend back to the game that we used to love.
Yeah, the game that, as the purists would say, the game that when it was played the right way. All right, coming up. No, you don't think so, Erik? You don't like that? All right, that's fine.
No, the game's different. The game's different. Dudes would cut the ball to make it move now. Now dudes throw 1 billion miles an hour. They have to make the adjustment. The game is always about adjusting.
It is, but what's not different is going out and finding guys who can put the ball in play, who can move runners. That part of the game should still be valued.
But the problem is they don't get paid though. Those are the guys,
But guess what they get, Alanna? How many rings you got? Exactly. When you win, everybody gets paid. And it might not be what you want, but everybody gets paid when you win.
You know what I think they should do when you go to the World Series? I think broadcasters should get a full World Series share.
Disagree.
100%.
Disagree.
And a ring. Hey, and a ring. Or look, a ring for sure.
Listen, I got the ring, but I didn't get the share.
Yeah.
I'll take the share over the ring, and then I'll take the share and go buy a ring. No, Eric, no,
Keep
no,
the
you're not
ring
going
and
to
give
give
me
me
the share.
Damn.
Nope.
All right. Coming up next, we are going to be slapping some hands. Foul territory, wrapping up the second hour of our show. We'll be right back.
My people of FT, my FT gamblers, what's happening? It's Parlay Pap coming to you again with yet another winner. I know I gave y'all a winner last time. The game got postponed to the next day, I guess. Couldn't put the bet in. And now I'm getting told bet don't count. But anyway, y'all know what my bets are. So if my bets go in, you just play them. Just all my FT gamblers, you play my bets. I don't care if it's the next day, this game got rain or whatever we got to do. You play my bets. Don't miss out on my bets. Even if Kratz is trying to rig this thing, I don't know what's going on, but they ain't get my bets in now all of a sudden. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Here's my lock for the day. Parlay Pap coming to you with a 2-game parlay. We got the Brewers plus 1.5 against the Cardinals. Patrick's got a 2 ERA going for the Brewers today, so I don't think they're going to lose by 2 runs. Secondly, guess who's playing the Colorado Rockies? Yep, Cincinnati Reds. Guess who I'm taking? Reds. Minus 1.5. That puts me at plus 245. And we're going to put 100 on it. And we're going to win that cheese. And we're not going to worry about any of these haters out here trying to rig this thing against me. Peace.
Peace.
Pap's just mad. Pap's just mad that I hit 1,000 off in my career. So sorry, I have to follow the rules. Sorry, I have to be honest with our bettors that are following along with us here at BetMGM. So just
ownage.
I did good yesterday, you guys. Apparently I won. I'm going to be doing a same game parlay again. The Mariners money line and the under as far as the runs being scored. That puts me at plus 150. So putting down 100 to win 150. All right. So that's my lock. That's my lock of the day. All right. Yeah, look at this. All right. So Milwaukee versus St. Louis. You just told you mine. We heard Cam's and we heard Pap's. So there you have it. Apparently I won. I'm excited about that. All right. BetMGM, guys, best place to bet the long ball. Grab the MLB home run boost token to find out why. Just activate your token when you bet on any player to hit a home run in any Major League Baseball game. If the player goes yard, you'll receive a bigger payout. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We are slapping some hands. We want to give our flowers to Jorge Soler, who reached 10 years of Major League Baseball service time. He is fully vested in his pension. That is an achievement that is so difficult to do, you guys. Only 7% of players who get to the majors get to 10 years of actual service time. And you are both guys that have played this game for a very long time. You know how hard this game is. I mean, what does that mean for a player when they get to 10 years?
Accomplishment.
It's
an accomplishment.
It's huge.
That's hard to get to because you don't know if you ever get a day in the big leagues, let alone stay in the big leagues. It comes out to basically 3 guys from every 2 teams. It's like 1.8 guys per team. So it's essentially 3 guys from every team you watch, the 26 guys that are on that roster, only 3 make it.
It's incredible.
It is incredible. Some of my favorite players that I grew up watching didn't make it 10 years, and you'd be surprised. You look back and you go, wow, they didn't? And again, the run is short. But like Mark, bullpen coach Mike Harkey told me when I got my 10th, that final day to get that 10th year, he said, they can't tell you ish no more.
Cam was in,
you get the
Cam
10,
was in
you
the
say,
bushes.
they can't tell me ish. They can't do nothing.
Cam was in the bushes when he got his 10 years, and normally somebody gets him a gift. I was in the bushes with him. I was the highest paid player on the team, and I was like, Cam, like, I don't know, you drink some red or something? Like, I'm going to get you like a box of red wine.
And Alanna, the guy that I am, guess what I did? I got them spread for my 10
He got us
years.
spread.
That's what I did.
That's very
Hey, and
kind.
anybody watching the MLBPA too, I need my gold card. It got washed away in the Hurricane Helene. I lost it in my storage unit. I had it in a nice storage unit. Storage unit got crushed. If you're watching MLBPA, I need my new gold card.
Listen, I got you.
Me too.
Cam, because my husband
Help
is
me out.
on. My husband works for the PA, so and
Oh,
he hit 10
I
years.
need
mine
So
too.
I will
need
get
him.
you. I will get you your gold
Seriously.
card, my friend.
means a
Congratulations.
lot.
So Led,
Appreciate you.
remember, guys, he defected from Cuba in 2011, which is a special thing to me because my mom came from Cuba. And it's tough. It's tough. So for him to be able to get out of that communist country and hit 10 years in the show, that's a big deal. All right, Kratz hats. What's on your head? Yes.
Besides no hair,
I love
besides no hair, I had to change the hat for Alanna, so maybe I'll wear my Dodgers hat on.
I love
Monday.
the Phillies, man. I love the Phillies. I got no problem with the Phillies. That's a sick hat. If you want to send me that hat, Philadelphia, please do.
I was gonna say, I thought you wanted this hat. This hat's like it'll double as a trash can. It's so big.
Your noggin.
Mega Mind.
What are you guys looking forward to this weekend? What do you want to watch? Who are you watching?
Game
You
tonight.
watching, Kratzy?
Game tonight. Paul Skeens versus Yamamoto. I don't care that it's the Pirates versus Dodgers. I don't care. Like, I think the Dodgers are going to end up beating them because.
Are you going to
Paul
stay up
Skeens
and watch
isn't
the
gonna-
game? Starts at 10 o'clock your time.
Absolutely. Easy peasy.
Okay.
I do two things well, and one of them's not sleep.
Oh,
I'm going to
all
watch
right.
the first place Padres.
How dare you?
That was
How dare
trolling.
you?
I'm just messing,
trolling.
Alana. I need my car. I need my gold card, Alana. I'm just
Yeah.
playing. I'm just playing.
All right,
Yeah.
guys.
I love you.
Have a very good weekend. Great to be on the show with you as I pinch hit for Scott Braun, for AJ, for Claudia, for Erik, for Cam, for all of us at Foul Territory. Have a great weekend. We will see you on Monday. Thanks for our guests for being here today. Talk to you guys in a couple days.